Hey guys, we are live. I'm Jeff here with eBay Addicts, and today I got a brand new guest for you guys. I have Kings of eBay is here. How are you doing today?
Doing well, but
Oh, I'm doing well. I'm glad to have you on today, man. It's been a while. We've been trying to get our schedules together. So real quickly, go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience. Tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and tell them what it is that you do.
I'm known as Kings of eBay. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, every platform in the world. Over 20,000 followers on TikTok. I've been selling on eBay for over 25 years, from just north of Boston, Massachusetts. And I give people tips and tricks and teach everybody how to be able to resell as best they can online to be able to make as much money as possible.
Okay, awesome. And so you are a full-time reseller. You said you live just north near Boston, and you're a full-time reseller. So tell everybody a little bit about how your plan of how you got started in reselling. Because I was watching your video, you got started when you first turned 14 years old on reselling on eBay. So tell everybody how this came to be.
So I started selling on eBay when I was basically a freshman in high school. I was 14. I saw a TV news channel that was talking about a new website that just came out, and keep in mind this is like the mid to late 90s, called eBay, and that people were selling all sorts of stuff and making money. So I decided, why not give it a shot? And I sold every single item I owned on eBay, and it ended up being just an amazing thing where stuff that wasn't very expensive, mainly CDs locally, they were very expensive over in the UK. So a CD at the time that was $1 around here would be $18 to $20 in the UK. And shipping at that point to ship a CD there was only like $3. So it was a great experience. You get paid through money orders. So your mailbox would be like this of just envelopes being sent to you. And
Right.
I sold tens of thousands of items while I was in high school. I ended up making more money than my principal by the time I was 15. I was buying out businesses. And then by the time that I got older and graduated college, I started getting back into this just as businesses like Circuit City were going under and Border Books were going under. And I would be buying out those businesses for my area near Massachusetts. So I bought out a lot of brands that you remember. I'm the guy that went in there and bought them out at the end.
Oh yeah, and so you're kind of getting stuff pennies on the dollar, I'm sure.
Yeah, typically it's around 90 to 97% off by the time I walk in the door.
Okay, awesome. So it seems like you got a lot of experience reselling. I was talking to you earlier. You said that you also have you have other businesses that you do as well besides eBay. So you want to tell people what other things you do?
So I own an estate sale company that I'm able to do. So if you have a full house of stuff that you need to sell, I have the knowledge where I can go in there with myself and my team to be able to price everything in the house and then hold that sale. I'm also a licensed real estate agent, so I can sell real estate. I'm a landlord.
Really?
Yep, I'm a landlord on properties that I own. I highly recommend everyone to buy property. If you're able to, being a landlord is great because you're just earning money on residual
On
income.
autopilot.
Yeah,
Right.
that's where I put all my money was in my properties. That's the smartest advice I could give everybody. I'm also a licensed auctioneer. So in the state of Massachusetts, I'm a licensed auctioneer to auction anything off that I want. Yeah, I mean that's just some of the stuff that I do. Is a lot of other just random stuff, but those are the main things.
Yeah. We're going to get along just fine. I'm a real estate agent as well in the license in the state of Florida. And so we got plenty of stuff to talk about today. So tell everybody, so you started off reselling at 14, 15 years old. You made so much money on eBay. You was making more money than the principal. And so you grew up, you went to college, and then kind of you got a full-time job like everybody else, right? And then kind of eventually you left your corporate world and you became a full-time reseller. So tell everybody kind of your journey because they want to get to know you a little bit more.
So I was in sales for over a decade. I ended up having sales leadership. I'm what was known as an enterprise salesperson, which is selling into Fortune 10, Fortune 50 is my specialty. Everyone in sales kind of has a specialty. Mine is that I'm able to infiltrate, get meetings with, and close deals with like Walmarts and GEs and those kind of companies. It's a lot of work and it's not something that a lot of salespeople are capable of doing. It just happened to be something that came natural to me. I like going after the whales, and I always did well with that. So every company that I ever worked for at the time, I closed the largest deal in the history of that company. And it just, after a while, between leading teams and having the sales and working for startups that didn't know what they were doing, you just kind of get bored of it, and it ends up you get burned out, and you get tired of having someone else tell you what to do and how to do it. And when you know the right way, but they're your boss, so they tell you to do it the wrong way, you do it the wrong way, and then they yell at you for it being the wrong way. So it just, you just kind of have it. And I'd always done eBay on the side, even when I had full-time jobs. And I just decided, when I would leave a job, I would turn eBay up to, bigger levels. And then I would slow it down when I'd start somewhere else. And then it just happened. And then by the time the last place I worked for, I just had it, I finally just said, you know what? I'm going to just do this for the rest of my life. And I've accepted that, and I'm good with it.
Just like you were talking about earlier, is that you have an estate sale company, you have a landlord property. You got to look at eBay as another stream of income. Just like you own this rental property, and as long as the tenants in there paying their rent every month, you have this extra stream of income coming in. You got to think of eBay as more of a long-term play. Like, hey, as long as I'm keeping my buyers happy, I have this extra stream of income coming in month after month after month from your eBay store, as opposed to just being kind of treating it like a little hobby seller, because this is your full-time gig. This is what you do, right?
This is what I do.
All right. Let me say hello to a few people here in the chat. We have Milando TV is here hanging out with us. We have Harry Briggs is here. Says, I've actually tried this, but it doesn't seem to work out. No one wants to buy from me. Well, let me tell you a little secret. If you have a brand new eBay store, you need to build up your feedback. Like if you first start and you have zero feedback, that may be a reason why no one wants to buy from you, because you don't have a feedback or reputation on eBay, and they don't know if the item's going to get damaged. They don't know if you're going to send it to the wrong address. They don't know if you're going to try to scam them. So what you can do on your eBay store, you can go and buy something on eBay. It doesn't have to be an expensive item, but buy something just so you can start building your feedback up in your eBay store. I would try to get it up over 100 if you can, because if you're a brand new seller and you have zero feedback, and then you're just like, well, I don't know why my stuff isn't selling, you got to get some feedback on your store. Would you agree with that, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, to a point. What I recommend is, instead of buying something from Amazon or Walmart, buy it from eBay, because the people buying from you don't know or care if your feedback number is from stuff you purchased or stuff you sold. No one cares. So I think once you get to 100 feedback, that's really where you need to be. People are very leery about buying from anyone that has 10 or less. You need to get that star, and you get that star at 10. And then you get a different color star at 50 and a different color star at 100. So you really want to be able to just, before you start selling, get 10 positive feedbacks from something. I mean, some people will sell super cheap DVDs or CDs for $5 or $6 at the beginning, just in order to be able to get feedback. So that is one thing. And someone did comment, a lot of people don't leave feedback. That's very, very accurate. A lot of people don't, but you can always email them and remind them and say, hey, I'm starting out. I really could use your feedback. Do you mind helping? And I find 60 to 70% of people aren't complete D-bags.
Yeah, well, you can also buy stuff like we said earlier. I mean, I would buy something small, like a little sticker or an ink pen, just something, because when you buy something, you can also get feedback that way. I wanted to say, hey, my brother is in the chat, bearded veteran. Marie Paralet is here in the chat. Voorhees is here, and Harry is here. So if you guys have questions, we are live on YouTube and Twitch. So if you guys have questions for our guest, drop it in the chat. So our guest promised us he's going to give us some inside baseball knowledge, get about tips and tricks and advice on eBay. So tell us some of your knowledge that you have of 25 years selling on eBay. Tell us some of your tips or tricks or advice that you have as far as reselling goes.
Sure. So I actually want to continue a conversation that you and I were having before. You said about how many items you have in your store. So if you want to say tell me.
Right now, I have about 7,500 active items in my eBay store, because we were talking earlier, and I was asking you, how many items should someone need to have in their eBay store if they wanted to leave their full-time job and they wanted to do reselling full-time? What would be like their active number of items they need to have in their eBay store, or what type of sales would they need to have. So we were talking backstage, and I told you I got about 7,500 items active at the moment. Go ahead.
So how many of those items have been sitting for over a year?
Oh, some of them have been sitting for a while. I sell a lot of media items like CDs, DVDs, Blu-rays, video games, VHS tapes. Some of them have been sitting for a while, but it's items that I got maybe a quarter or 50 cents. I don't have hardly anything into them.
All right. So of those items, what percentage of them are you selling for under $15?
Oh, I have a lot of them that are selling for $10, $11, $15, $20. I have a lot of them that sell for under 15. Why do you ask?
Free shipping?
No, the customer pays shipping. The media mail shipping is only $3.19.
So this is where you and I differ on a few things here. So I never sell anything under $15. So one of the biggest metrics that you can have is your time, and your time is extremely valuable. I will not sell anything under $15. Your average sale price is something that you want to keep getting up. And if your average sale price is under $15, it means that you're spending a lot of time where you could be buying stuff of better value and being able to make more money in the long run. Because I'd rather spend my time selling items that are $50, $100 versus selling items that are $6 to $10. So what I would recommend is this. This is probably one of my biggest pieces of advice that I teach everybody that on TikTok, is that in your store, you have categories, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are your categories currently?
Like I said, I sell a lot of media items, CDs, DVDs, Blu-rays, video games, VHS tapes, audiobooks, things like that.
So if you listed a CD a year ago and you listed a CD yesterday, are they both in the category called CDs?
Yeah.
Okay. So your ability of being able to manage your inventory is impossible. It's impossible. That no one goes into your store and actually looks for CDs, clicks the store category, and buys from there. So what I do is I lower the price of every item in my eBay store every 45 days by 10%. Every item, 10% continuously. So what I would recommend is, and this will probably be a huge shock for you to do, but you'll move inventory like you've never moved before. You'll also probably end up taking off, 1,500 or 2,000 items of yours and dumping them on Marketplace, things that we're never going to sell. Take all of your items that you have, put them in a category called 5%, 5% off, and then lower everything you have right now by 5%. Then in 45 days, those items go to 10% off. And then 45 days from there, it goes to 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. And those are the only categories you have in your store. The first category is called new. Everything you list right now goes into new. From this moment forward, everything goes into new. Then everything that was in your 5% off goes to 10% off, and so forth until it hits 80. But a lot of that stuff's never going to hit 80 because one of two things is going to happen. Either one, you're going to sell it, which is the goal, or two, you're going to realize that it is not worth your time to sell that item because it's at $5, it's not going to sell. At $7, it's not going to sell, and you pull it. You end listings like a madman. You go through and just start ending your listings, and then you'll realize that even though it's cool to say you have 7,500 items in your store, you probably should only have about 3,000. And then guess what you can do? With that extra room that you just cleared up, you're going to be able to buy better. You're going to be able to get rid of inventory that was never going to sell. Because the most valuable thing we have is our space. People don't realize that. Unless you were gifted a warehouse that was the size of a football stadium, you probably are working out of a storage unit or your own home, where space, or a garage where space is very limited. So that's the best advice I can give anybody, is that if you just keep listing CDs and putting it in a CD, that stuff's going to sit forever. Your inventory is never going to make sense. And you're going to end up holding on to items for years that you should have thrown on Marketplace in a bundle for $100 3 or 4 years ago. So
yeah, I understand what you were saying earlier about you don't list an item if it's under $15. If I can't get at least $10 for an item, I don't list it. If anything that's under $10, I don't list. But yeah, I have plenty of space where I'm at. I have a big shed in the backyard, and I have a 5-car garage that's empty. So I got plenty of space. But that is something that people don't understand, because at a certain point in time, you're either going to run out of time, or you're going to run out of space to store your inventory, or you're going to run out of capital. Because let's say you just spent, $1,000 at a yard sale or a thrift store, and you have money tied up in this merchandise. Well, now you have to come up with money to go buy more inventory, and the money that you have tied up in the old inventory is just kind of sitting there. So, where is it that you store most of your merchandise where you're at? Because I'm sure where you're at in Boston is much more difficult, right?
Yeah, I have a pretty large home where I store. I have an office space where I store everything there. But then a mile from my house is also a giant storage unit place, extra space storage. So when I need to, I utilize that. And when I don't need it, I just have things out of my home. But I move inventory so quickly. Like I said, I end up taking off between 80 and 100 listings. Stuff that I thought was going to sell that didn't. Goodbye. Throw it in a marketplace for $200. Let some flea market or yard sale guy pick up a truckload of stuff from me for a couple $100. They'll make 500 or 600. Everybody's happy.
Yeah, and like I said, I've put my store like on sale, like 10% off in my store, and I've done promoted listings, but I haven't done that before where I've just, said, okay, I'm going to put everything in my, or these items, 10% off, or for the items that you have listed to try to help move them. I haven't done that yet. So guys, we're live. I want to say hello to people in the chat because the chat was moving. I wanted to say hello to a couple of Pickers is in the chat. Anytime Picker is here in the chat. Harry Briggs is here. Roman is in the chat. We have Harry Humpstone is here and says, a couple of Pickers says, great thing about eBay is that everyone's model is different and no one's model is perfect. And so if you guys have questions in the chat, drop it in the chat. Harry says, what do you sell the most of? So what are the items that you're selling the most that are like super hot items for you right now?
The hottest items are video games. You get video games and consoles and systems. I mean, I can take an Xbox 360, grab all the junk Xbox 360 games, which to me, anything under $15 is garbage. So I'll take any video game that's over $15 gets listed individually. Any video game that's under $15, I bundle with a system or a console, and I just dump it. And you know what? I'm getting $120, $150 for Xbox 360s at this point, and I'm paying like nothing for this stuff. So that's the thing. Everybody who has video games, people are buying them. This is the time. They're selling like crazy.
Yeah, that's a good thing to bring up, is be able to bundle stuff. Like if you have an old Nintendo Wii, you could probably get, for 10, 15, $20, and then you bundle it with, Mario Kart or something, and then you throw a little steering wheel in there and a controller, and now all of a sudden you turn your $20 and sold it for 120 or something on eBay. So where do you go sourcing to get the majority of your inventory? Is there, because earlier you mentioned and said you do a lot of big like wholesale lots and buyout wholesale lots, and you do a lot of store liquidations. Where is it that you like to get majority of your inventory?
So I'm one of the few resellers that has never stepped foot in a thrift store. I'm not against them by any means. I support everybody that goes thrifting, but I have never needed to source there, so I just never have. At some point, there'll be a TikTok video of me at some point going into a thrift store, but for the time being, I just don't need to. But I source a lot of stuff from estate sales because I own an estate sale company. So from my estate sales, I'll be able to take some of the stuff from there that I work out with the owner, or if I buy out the entire house, I can do whatever I want with it. And some of that stuff will end up on eBay. Also, I do a lot of flea markets where I'll go and I have pickers that will come to my home with stuff that they get. I used to do storage auctions a lot. I don't do that anymore. And, I do a lot of stuff with cleanouts and junk guys where I'll buy out whole houses or whole collections of things they find. And then there's a lot of people who are collectors, and I get phone calls all the time where, hey, I have a collection of this or a collection of that. It doesn't matter the size. I mean, a couple of years ago, I bought about 50,000 die-cast cars. I don't care the size of a collection. I have the ability to buy out a business of any size. I've got enough people that I know what I'm doing, where I can go into a business, eyeball it, whether it's office supplies or a printing business or a restaurant, and know exactly what everything's worth in there and be able to get a good deal on it. Whether it's a Hobart mixer or whatever, I'll I don't care. If I can make money on it, I'll find a way to flip it.
Yeah, it's important to kind of like tell people what you do. I was watching your video that you posted, and you were talking about how you have these big rolls of eBay tape, and then when you're at the post office or you're running around somewhere, people see this big eBay logo tape that you have, and then they'll bring it up and start asking questions like, "Oh, you sell on eBay? So and so has these items here. Would you be interested in them?" So, and then you're able to pull your business card out and say, "Hey, here's my business card. Give me a call," and you could get backdoor connections with people without having to go to yard sales and thrift stores and things like that. So can you talk a bit about how important it is to kind of have word of mouth and building up relationships with people?
So I have a business card where, it says Kings of eBay and everything on it, but on the back of it, it says everything that I'm really looking to buy. And I'll hand that every flea market person has my card. All these people know who I am in this area near Boston, and they're able to know the stuff that I buy because you want to build up those relationships. You want to be able to have it that before that any of that stuff hits a flea market, if it's the stuff that you buy, you have the ability to buy it before it goes to a flea market. You're first in line before anyone even knows a line exists. That's what you want to get to. So what you were talking about prior is I tape all my items with eBay tape. And one of the reasons I do that is when I go into the post office, you're waiting in line or you're dropping them off, whatever. Someone will say to you, "Hey, you're an eBay person? You sell on eBay? Oh, my aunt has this, or my cousin has that, or I'm moving and I have all this stuff. Would you be interested?" I mean, I can't even tell you how much money I've made off of people that have said, "Hey, I got this stuff." It's sometimes you walk in and next thing you know, it's a rich lady estate who's moving to Florida, your neck of the woods. And she wants to sell all of her warm clothes. You're buying Canada Goose jackets for $25, and you do pretty well. I mean, I have a whole thing with Prada boots that I got from some woman. It was her whole closet of stuff. She didn't want to take it with her, and I paid like nothing for it, and I was making a fortune.
Yeah, I think sometimes people just want the stuff gone. They just want the space back. They just want this stuff out of here. And right now, I don't know about where you're at up in Massachusetts, but here in Florida, I got gas yesterday, and it was like $4. It was $4.49. It was like $4.50 a gallon. So for me right now, it doesn't make sense to go to 5 or 10 thrift stores in a day, and I'm spending, almost almost $5 a gallon just driving from one thrift store to the other, and then hit a thrift store and come home with 3, 4, 5 items. So I've been looking at expanding and buying big wholesale lots of merchandise and then chopping them up and selling them off individually. I got a connection of a guy I'm meeting next week, and he has 500 items he's going to sell me for $300. So my cost of good per item is 60 cents a piece, and I'm not driving all over the city looking for one-off items and coming home with 3, 4, 5 items. Do you have an idea of things that you can recommend people to help them source better or more efficiently, or maybe they were looking into getting big bulk lots or wholesale lots of merchandise that would help them out? Because if they're just like, man, gas is getting close to $5 a gallon, what would you recommend they do?
Well, a few things is, don't buy pallets. The used pallets. Like, for anyone thinking about doing that, unless you've been in the game like I have been for so long, and you know what you're doing and you know exactly what you're getting, you buy one and it's going to be a mistake. Because here's what happens. Because this is where it gets alluring, and you see it maybe on people that post stuff on YouTube of buying pallets. So they'll buy a pallet of something, and it'll be like, "Oh man, this item is worth $40, and we have 100 of them. Oh man, that's $4,000. We're killing it." But no, you're not, because you're not going to be able to sell all that stuff. And by the time you sell one for $40, and then guess what? Someone else bought a pallet from you in South Carolina, and they're going to lower it to $35. And then someone bought a pallet in Western Michigan. They're going to lower it to $20. And next thing you know, you're going to be lucky to get $5 a piece, and that $4,000 that you thought you magically were going to make disappears. So stay away from that stuff. I always say go with what you know. If you are experienced in something and you want to buy lots of that stuff, then that's probably the way to go. If you're an expert in die-cast cars, buy die-cast cars. If you happen to know, vintage furniture, and you want to start doing that, like, go what you know first, and then expand things from there. I see too many times where people make one bad purchase, sinks their whole business, and they stop doing this. So it's very important that in this game, because this is a game, I mean, this is a hustle. Most people don't consider what what I do for a living, which is reselling, a real job. I hear it all the time. My TikTok, I'll have 200 comments on a video, and 4 or 5 of them will be just complete nonsense about resellers and people that just hold this negative towards what this is, what we do. My response all the time is, would you be happier if I was in a cubicle from 9 to 5? Would that make you happy? But this is what it is. You need to just keep going and hustling and find stuff. But like what you said, you're about to buy 500 items for $300, right?
Yeah.
So if all those items are worth $3 to $5 a piece, I wouldn't touch that lot for free.
Well, I understand. I'm going to sell them for at least $10 a piece or more times 500 items, and my plan is to turn $300 into $5,000 worth of merchandise. And after my cost of goods and eBay fees, after all of them sell, I'll make about $4,000 profit. So it just depends. Like I said, you don't want to mess with an item under $15. My threshold is I don't want to mess with an item under $10. So we had a few questions in the chat. Mary says gas here is $4.69. Anytime Picker says you'll spend more in gas and you make in profit. And we had a question that says, hey, Kings of eBay, do you do free shipping or do you charge for shipping?
I do free shipping on every item in my store. Here's why. eBay's algorithm will reward you if you do free shipping. They have announced that. They haven't hid that. eBay's algorithm is something that they cloak in secrecy for most things, but that is one that they have made very clear. You can even Google that. If you do free shipping, you will show up higher in their algorithm. I can't recommend enough to do free shipping, even when you're looking to do discounts. It makes it so much easier. Now, does it suck when someone from the other coast buys your item? Yeah, it does, but it's the cost of doing business. You have to just bake that into your margins. So, yeah, I do free shipping. Everything in my store is buy it now with best offer with free shipping.
Yeah, eBay does say that if you do free shipping, that that's one of the things that they promote, that they want people to have on their items. We had a question in the chat from Mary Paralet. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Says, do you do in-person auctions on the last day of the sale? Those are my favorite to go to.
No, it's not. Like when I do an estate sale, it's never an auction. An auction's an auction. For an estate sale on the last day, you make me any reasonable offer, you can have it. In the last few hours, if there's big and heavy items or fragile things like glass, I give it away. At the end of the last day of the auction, last day of the estate sale, there is so much glassware that I couldn't give it away if my life depended on it. I'll make deals with people where I'll say, hey, you want that, $50 item, you want it for $20? Okay, but you got to take one whole, carload of the glassware, and you got to take it with you. And people do it. I'll throw that stuff in. You buy these things, take any 5 glasses you want. You can't get rid of it. So it's not so much auctions on the last day of an estate sale. It's we got to get this stuff out of here.
Okay. What are some of your goals or plans or projects that you have this year for 2022? Because I know you mentioned that you have an estate business, you have rental properties, you said you're a landlord, you have your resale business. What are some other goals or projects that you have for yourself that you're working on this year for 2022 right now?
The big thing for me is just growing my estate sale business. My eBay business is just organically going to just always grow because I've got a good team in place, so that's fine. That's a set it and forget it. I can easily just handle that. But my estate sale business is a lot more work. You got to have an SEO team. You got to have the right people in place to manage your website. So growing the estate sale business is my hope for the rest of this year. And I do plan at some point having one of the largest estate sale companies in my whole area. And, working to get to that point. It's not easy, and it's going to take a very long time.
Okay, I wanted to ask you some more reselling questions. What would you tell people if they say they're listed items on eBay, but their stuff just isn't selling? So, what would you tell them if they didn't have a particular niche? But what would you say if they're like, man, I'm posting stuff. Summer slowdown is real. I keep posting items on eBay, but my stuff just isn't selling. Do you have advice to help them out?
Yeah, you're probably too high. You don't have best offer. You're not doing, if you're not doing free shipping, then you're not showing up higher on the algorithms. You need to do promoted listings, but I recommend 1% for the promoted listings on all of your items. If you're not doing that, then to me, that's just crazy. The rewards of promoted listing outweighs any of the negatives. And it might just be that you're just not, you maybe didn't write a good title, maybe you didn't put it in the right category. Like if you are selling stuff that, like if you're trying to sell a Goodwill Hunting DVD and you're upsetting why it's not selling, well maybe because there's 9,000 of them on eBay and the sell-through rate is garbage. So maybe for every 1,000 that are listed, 5 sell. So would basically be the equivalent of winning the lottery if your DVD sold that there's 10 million others of. If you're trying to sell Hootie and the Blowfish's Cracked Review CD and you're wondering why is this not selling, and you realize they sold 20 million copies and probably 19 million of them are on eBay, you're probably not going to do well with that.
Yeah, that's true. I do at least 1% promoted listings on all my items, and I would say probably half of my sales that I get come from promoted listings. So, let's say if you sold a $10 item and you sold it at 1%, you're paying like 10%, 10 cents for like that promoted listing, but you're getting that sale. So definitely do that. And yeah, if you also look at Roman said in the chat, the sell-through rate is an important factor. So if you see there's 200 of this item listed, and you could go in the sales and see how many of them sold in the past 90 days. So you have an idea of how many are listed and how many of them have sold. So tell everybody again, real quickly, what would be your top 2 or 3 pieces of advice to help somebody if they wanted to grow or scale their reselling business, or they wanted to become a full-time reseller? What would be like your best advice that you have for them?
Well, I'd say first and foremost, sell everything that you have in your home that you no longer need. So go through your closets, go through your drawers, go through everything. You have old cell phones, you have old VHS tapes are now high again for some stupid reason. Go through, if there's video game systems that you're not playing, I always say this all the time. I don't collect anything. I have cool stuff that I keep around my home, but I don't collect stuff. So for the people that have to be, I talked to a guy recently, he had 1,400 video games. And I said, why the hell do you have 1,400 video games? Like, what's the point of that? Like if you are one of those people, if I told you that 1,400 video games could disappear and there was $10,000 in cash sitting there, which one would you choose? To me, I'd rather have the $10,000 in cash. That's the kind of mindset that you have to have. Clear out, get rid of the clutter. That's number one. Number two, I would say it's very important to be able to take a look at what your business is. If your business is not doing well and you're kind of upset why, it might be that maybe you paid too much for items and now you listed the items for too much because you're not willing to take a loss on a mistake. So you really do need to do everything you can to cut your losses. I discount every item in my store by 10% every 45 days. And then when that happens, I remove about 80 to 100 items every 45 days. And there's a lot of items I spent good money on. $10 here, $20 here. And if I counted it up, I'd go crazy. The main thing is that, and this is the third most important thing, have a good memory. If I made a mistake, like I know every mistake purchase I ever made, going all the way back 25 years, I remember every single one of them. One of them was buying military outfits. I went to a flea market and somebody got one over on me, and I thought these military outfits were going to cost, be a fortune, be a home run. Come to find out that every military outfit that was ever worn is on eBay. So there's no market for them anymore. So now when somebody old passes away and, in the closet's the military outfit, it ends up in one of two places now because no one wants them. They either end up in a landfill, unfortunately, which is where a lot of them end up, or they end up on eBay being sold. And I didn't realize that at the time. I paid a good chunk of money and I lost all of it. So just remember that. Remember your losses.
Right. Now, I have a question. As far as the way that you run your eBay business, how much capital do you take every month to reinvest to buy more inventory? And how much money do you have set aside to pay for taxes? And how much do you pay yourself every month from your reselling business? Or do you just reinvest all of it to buy more merchandise?
Yeah, what ends up happening, I don't get into specifics on money because I recommend that any reseller that gets to my level or your level or to not talk specifics when it comes to money. It's very important because you can say whatever you want. I could say I make $10 billion a year. Like there's no receipts to prove it. I need those people that show their 90-day totals and they're like, oh, my 90-day total is $150,000. It's like, okay, well, Maybe you paid $150,000 for stuff, and you sold $150,000 worth of stuff. You broke even, but now it's like, oh look, I made $150,000. So I never get into the specifics ever.
I wasn't asking about the actual numbers. I meant like a percentage. So let's say let's just say hypothetically, I sold $10,000 on
Sure.
eBay this month.
All
What
of it,
percentage?
go back.
Go ahead.
You want to pay all of your bills. So that's the most important thing. Pay all of your bills, make sure that's taken care of, and then once that is done, then you have the choice: put money away and save up to buy more property, or property if you don't currently own any, or put more money into a larger purchase to buy more stuff. I highly nowadays everybody's buying crypto, and that's not doing well. I've been screaming at the top of my lungs for the last 15 years to everyone I know, buy property. And now everybody who didn't listen to me is wishing that they did. Crypto is sinking, and real estate is at an all-time high. So real estate's always going to be at a high. So buy real estate if you can.
Yeah, definitely. My sister lives in Sarasota, and she just bought a house, like a little condo last year. It's like a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. And in 1 year, she got an extra $100,000 of equity in her property in 1 year. She didn't do it. She didn't put a new coat of paint on it. She didn't put new appliances in, new carpeting, nothing. Just as it's set. In 1 year, she got an extra $100,000 of equity in the property in a year by doing nothing. So that's crazy. But yeah, I definitely agree that you should be able to kind of take your capital and spend it. And maybe if you bought a rental property or had something else going on the side besides just reselling, for sure. Let me say hello to Anytime Picker is in the chat. Nina J is here. I wanted to say hey to my buddy BK from the Rockies is here in the chat. And if you guys had questions from our guest, you could go ahead and drop it in the chat. My biggest question is that I have is where do people find profitable inventory? So that's like my biggest question, because when you're reselling on eBay, you're making your profit on the buy, not necessarily when you sell it. Like just the same way with the real estate. Like if you were going to buy a property and it's $100,000 house and you paid 30 grand for it, well then you got $70,000 of equity in that house that maybe you can flip and resell. So let's say with an item that you're reselling on eBay, you picked up this item, let's say it's a DVD, and you paid 50 cents for it, and it sells on eBay for $20. So where are some of the like hot spots that you would recommend people do their sourcing to find inventory?
The number one is buying collections. That's where I've made the most money in my life, is buying collections and buying up businesses that are closing. So if you can if you know somebody that collects whatever, and they're done, they want to be done. Unless they spent $20,000, it's now worth $25,000, and they want $20,000. There's no money left to be made. But a lot of times there'll be a collection that they bought, that they spent $10,000 for that collection, and now that collection, and they don't even know this, is now worth $50,000 or $60,000, and they'll say, "Hey, I paid 10, give me 5," and then you spend $5,000 on a collection that's now worth 60, and they have no idea that it's worth that much. So, I mean, that's the thing. When people want to get out of a collection, they're moving, they're retiring, they're whatever, those are the people you want to target. It's not super easy to find them. So I'm not saying this is something that you can just easily find. But one collector can make your whole year.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. If you found somebody, like you said, that were moving, retired, maybe they were going through a divorce or whatever the case may be, and it was a person like that. Tell people the story about how you made like $10,000 in one day on eBay, because I wanted to come out of your mouth so people can hear your story.
So I love buying printing businesses. That's one of my favorite things. So printing businesses are my favorite because I love buying toner and ink. Toner and ink are my favorite thing to sell by a mile. There's nothing that comes closer to my love of toner and ink. So it's crazy, but I love it. If I could just sell toner for the rest of my life, I'd be a very happy man. It sells quick, so fast, easy to ship. It's already packed in the case. Super easy. So I bought out a printing business, and part of it was all the office stuff, all the oils and inks and everything, all HP, all brand new in the box. It was like 6 cargo van full of stuff. And
Wow.
I brought that all into my place. And then the assistant that I had at the time, her and I spent a whole day, morning to night, we banged out like a ton of listings. Now you got to keep in mind a lot of the stuff that'd be like 18 boxes of one item. So you'd list one item for, you know, $199.99, but I got like 18 or 20 of them behind that. So that one listing was really like $2,000 or $3,000. So we listed just a ton of it, not even all of it, just a small amount of it, and I ended up making $10,000 in one day.
That's crazy. And you said you had to have so many carloads back and forth to the post office. You said you had 6 carloads or cargo vans of merchandise. And so how many trips did you have to make back and forth to the post office that day?
I mean, that day that was a lot. Between FedEx and UPS and the post office, it was a very busy day. But it wasn't just the going to the post office. It was the fact that I had to actually pack all of that stuff too. Because some of those oils and things, you couldn't just ship them as is. You had to like really pack them well, because they were super expensive. I didn't want to get them damaged.
Yeah, for sure, man. You heard him. $10,000 in one day on eBay. That's crazy. That's mind-boggling to me. Well, hey, I appreciate you jumping on and hanging out with us today. Tell everybody where they can follow you at on YouTube and Instagram. I have all of his links down below for YouTube and Instagram, but let them know where they can follow you at.
So I'm Kings of eBay. On TikTok, I have over 20,000 followers, and I have over 400 videos there. I'm on Instagram, where there's a bunch of videos that are specific to Instagram, on Kings of eBay. YouTube, I have a bunch of videos specific there for YouTube. That's Kings of eBay. Twitter, Kings of eBay. Facebook, Kings of eBay. I am pretty much everywhere. So any social media platform there is, I'm Kings of eBay.
Okay, awesome. Now, what would you tell somebody if they haven't got started on reselling on eBay? Because it's not for everybody. What would you tell them if they haven't got started yet, or they're just getting started?
I mean, my most important thing to those people who are just getting started is sell everything that you own that you don't need. Go through your home, go through your family's homes, go through your friends' houses, and say, hey, whatever you don't want, I'm getting into the reselling game. You know, do you mind? And you know, maybe your friend gives you a purse that's worth $50 that they don't want anymore. You know, it's free money. I mean, I look at this stuff and I just see piles of cash sitting everywhere where most people see junk. And it's a mindset that you have to have the experience of selling, like I have and like Mr. eBay Addicts has, where, you know, you really can just look at these things and go, wow, to some person that's junk, to me, it's like valuable, you know, like, and you find really cool stuff. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, this is,
I'll put you on full screen.
This is a Thanos hand.
That's awesome.
I bought this at a flea market. This thing is worth about $150, even as is. So, you know, you can find this cool stuff anywhere. Monster hands like this. I basically just let my son play with all these toys. I have a house full of cool stuff like that he just goes to town in. So, you know, you find stuff like that, and it motivates you to keep trying to find more. So that's probably one of the biggest lessons I can give is the stuff is out there, and it's always out there because people are always moving or dying or just downsizing or whatever. So there'll always be something somewhere to buy. The rumor of Goodwill raising all their prices to $10 billion an item and all this stuff, just find a different place to source. You know, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you jumping on and hanging out with us. Do you have any other final thoughts or words of wisdom you can leave our audience with? Because there's literally merchandise everywhere. You could get stuff, you know, you could get stuff at Walmart on clearance. You could go to yard sales, thrift stores, pawn shops, you know, Goodwills, estate sales. That's what you specialize in. There's literally merchandise everywhere. The whole trick is getting it for the right price. But do you have any other words of wisdom you can leave our audience with? And then we'll let you go.
I mean, the best words of wisdom I can give you is follow me on TikTok, Kings of eBay. There's over 400 videos, all free, for you to be able to learn as much stuff as you possibly can. I've been doing this for over 25 years. I have as much experience on eBay and reselling as just about anybody. You know, so I've taken all of that knowledge and I've done it so that, you know, really the thing is so many people that are working jobs are being treated terribly. We learned through the pandemic of how terrible everybody in hospitality was treated. and they just had been treated so terribly, and then they got fired, and the jobs were terrible. They don't want to do those jobs anymore. There's a reason why there was the Great Resignation, they called it, because people were tired of being treated like crap. Because so many people would go to places in the hospitality industry or a restaurant, whatever, and just treat people like garbage, like they're subhuman. And they've had it. We've all had it. You see people do it. It's terrible. Those people don't want to do those jobs anymore. They want to be self-employed. They want to have the life that I was ridiculed for a very long time, being an eBay guy. Now this is the life that people want. They want that freedom to wake up at any time they want. You want to go run an errand? You go run an errand. You don't have to ask somebody. You do when you want. But the hours are long. You work 7 days a week. You can't really take vacations. There's a lot of downsides, but there's a lot of upsides too. So before you get into it, make sure this is something that you really want to do.
Yeah, but for sure, definitely. I agree with everything that you said, is that there's going to be a lot of work and a lot of hustle. But if you need to go run errands, or like you said today, if you need to go to your son's T-ball game or something, you can go. You don't have to ask permission to go anywhere. We had a quick question in the chat, said, where did you get those 3D glasses? He's talking about the ones over your shoulder.
Yeah, so those are custom made for me.
Okay, cool.
I have a lot of stuff in my house. I find artists that make cool stuff like that. And if you follow me on TikTok, you'll see I do a tour of my house. Honestly, I have so many custom pieces in my home, or just really cool collectibles all throughout my house of stuff that, I like those kind of things. I gravitate toward that stuff that I find. So that's the thing in this job. You find these cool things, and you just hold on to them until someone makes you an offer you can't say no to, and then you can take it right off the wall.
That's funny. I just made a video, I think it was yesterday or the day before, and I was talking about how you can take your side hustle money from reselling on eBay or doing a side gig, put that money into a separate savings account, let it build up. And once you have 10, 20 grand set aside in a savings account, now you can take that money and use it as a down payment to buy a duplex or something. And you have your capital you're investing in, as opposed to just saying, well, I bought these new pair of Jordans, or I took my family on a vacation. Just let that money build up, and now you can take that capital out, and now you have money. You have your seed money as an investment. So promise me you'll come back on again sometime, man. I had a good time chatting with you. Everybody go ahead and follow our guest. All the links are down below. Kings of eBay. I subscribe to his channel. You guys should go ahead and at least check him out and go subscribe to his channel. And we appreciate you jumping on and hanging out with me. I feel like there's so much knowledge that you can share with our audience. So thank you for jumping on and hanging out with me. You guys have a great weekend. I'm working on getting a new guest on soon. We're going to be talking all about antique booths. I have that reseller guy is coming on soon. He's going to tell you how he makes $2,000 a month from selling stuff from his antique booth. So I will see you guys soon. Hopefully it'll be this weekend. Till then, you guys have a great weekend. We'll catch you in the next video. You guys have a great day. Be sure to follow our guests. All the links are down below. Bye, guys.
Thank you, guys.